Hi everyone, it's Dawn. Welcome back to my channel. I hope that you had a wonderful weekend. It was a Christmas weekend and I had such a beautiful weekend. We spent it with our friends and family. Both of my daughters made it home despite the really brutal winter weather that we've had here in the Midwest and lots of other places, I know. But we didn't really get all that much snow. We got about 3 inches of snow, but there was a lot of blowing and drifting and icing, and there was some black ice on the roads, and the temperatures have been freezing. So I'm not complaining. I've always lived in the Chicagoland area and in the Midwest, so I'm used to it, and I'm just not going to complain because what good will that do? But I hope that all your loved ones or you did not have any disruptions to your travel plans. If you were trying to get somewhere or get someone to you, my daughter had 2 of her flights canceled and then finally was able to get on a 3rd flight that she rescheduled and made it into Chicago about 1 o'clock on Friday. So I was so happy. I went out to the airport and got her. And actually, even though the weather was horrible, it was a really easy drive because nobody was on the roads. So it was super easy picking her up, especially around O'Hare Airport. I couldn't even believe it. There were no cars. It was really nice. So we had a wonderful holiday weekend, and Christmas was just lovely and beautiful. We spent it with our family on my husband's side on Saturday, and then Sunday with my side of our family. And we're really tired today from all the visiting that we did. I'm just feeling so grateful that everything worked out, and I hope that your Christmas was wonderful as well. Let me know down in the comment section. I love knowing what you did. Did your plans turn out as you hoped, or did things get changed up? Sometimes I find that even when plans do get changed up, sometimes it's really bad, but oftentimes it just works out anyway. Anyways, I had a birthday a couple of weeks before Christmas, and I have a few products I want to share with you. And one is like an older product that I kind of revisited, and now I really love it. And I'm going to tell you why I love this product. And then one is kind of a luxury birthday present that I got from my daughters. So I'm just going to jump in and get started. So the first product I want to share with you is not new to the market. In fact, they've been around for about 4 or 5 years. And I did try this product when they first came out, and I wasn't impressed. I tried it as a new product to the market, and I hadn't watched a lot of YouTube videos and explored how to best use this product. So 4 or 5 years later now, I gave them another try, and I wanted to share with you the tips that I've learned and why I love this product so much now. And they are the pots from Charlotte Tilbury, and these are the Eyes to Mesmerize. And I'm not quite sure how many shades these come in. I want to say approximately 8. There is a shade for everyone, and they all are pretty like wearable shades. I don't think there's any like bright purple ones or green ones. There are shades that are more bronzy, rose gold, coppery, and more like just neutrally wearable shades, but they do give your eye a beautiful pop. And there's several ways that you can use these. You can use these as just like a pop shade. You can apply your eyeshadow and then just go in and apply it as like a pop of sheen, or that sort of wet eyeshadow look on top of your eyeshadow just to complete the look. Or you can use these as a one and done eyeshadow. And that's what I love to use these for. And I love them for that purpose. I don't think that they're worth the money just for the pop. If you were going to use them just to pop over your eyeshadow for that little spotlight on your mobile lid, I would suggest just springing for one of the Charlotte Tilbury quads, which I absolutely love. They all come with a pop shade, and the shade is actually called like a pop shade, and they all have different names. So you would be better off spending your money, a little more money, in getting the quad than purchasing one of these just for that purpose. But if you want a really beautiful one and done eyeshadow, I think these are totally worth the money. And I have learned a couple of tips that help me really appreciate this product and utilize it to its maximum capacity. The first tip I have for you is to select a color that will really flatter your eye shade and your skin tone. And that was the problem that I ran into when I first tried these products. I picked a shade that I thought was beautiful in the pot, but it wasn't necessarily beautiful with my skin tone and hair color and eye color. So definitely take into consideration your personal coloring, because some of these are very light and they might not show up very well at all on someone with a medium to darker skin tone, or some of them are very deep and dark, or maybe a little too red, or have deeper tones that will look garish on a very, very fair-skinned person like myself. So definitely do a little exploration before you go and spend like the 30 bucks on one of these pots, and make sure you select a color that will work really well with your overall color. The shade I have here is one of the very best shades on someone with very fair skin, in my opinion. And this used to be called Marie Antoinette like 4 years ago when these first were released, but now it's called Oyster Pearl. And I did pull up the description of this because sometimes when I describe a color, I'm not sure that I cover all the bases. And it's described as an antique oyster gold. It's a coppery bronze with warm reddish undertones and a metallic sheen. Even though this is described as warm, I don't feel that it's very warm at all. I feel that it's a little more neutral. I wouldn't go as far as to say cool, but I do think that it is more of a neutral. That's what I like about it, and I think that it makes it very flattering on fair skin. And I really like to wear this as a one and done eyeshadow. I've been using it so much lately. And the next tip is to use an eyelid primer. The first time I used one of these pots, I didn't use an eyelid primer. I thought that it is kind of like a primer in and of itself. I thought it was a little more like a MAC paint pot where you can use it as an eyeshadow or an eyeshadow primer. That's not the case with these. I feel that using an eyeshadow primer that has a little bit of grip to it is really important. Today I have on the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream eyelid primer, but it also works really nice with MAC paint pots. I use Painterly, or it works really great with Urban Decay Primer Potion. So just as long as it doesn't have like a really silicone or dimethicone feel to it, if you use a primer that does have that, like if you use like a facial primer on your lids, and it generally works with powdered eyeshadows, I feel like that would make this slip around a lot. So definitely a primer that has a little bit of grip. And then I feel like the best way to apply it is to apply it using a finger. So I'm just gonna go in with my finger and apply it to my mobile lid over the eyelid primer, the grippy primer. And I love that you don't have to be super precise with your application. I just sort of pat it all around. For me, it can be a little tricky because I do have fingernails. So around the edges, sometimes I feel like I need to go in with a brush and then kind of clean it up with a little concealer. And I'm just adding a little bit more, and it really builds up beautifully upon itself. And I just kind of smudge it around and make sure it's pretty blended. And then I just go in with a fluffy brush and just soften the edges a little bit. And now I'm just gonna take a concealer brush. This one's just from the Angie Hot and Flashy collection, and pick up a little bit of my Tint Idol concealer from Lancome and just kind of gently clean up the edges. It does build up beautifully on itself, but it doesn't really change the color. It does give it more depth, but it won't be so dramatic that you can go from like the daytime to the nighttime and have a completely different look. There is another shade, and I think it's Chocolate Bronze. I'll link it below. I just ordered it, and I haven't tried it yet, but I did see it in a beauty tutorial where Charlotte Tilbury was doing a tutorial, and she used this for a daytime look and then was able to use the Chocolate Bronze a little bit more to smoke it out and create a little more depth and dimension and go into an evening look. I did order it on a whim. I probably shouldn't have, because I was just so taken in with the video, and I thought, oh, I would really love that. Even though I think day to night looks are really overrated. Everyone makes you think that that's going to be such a big deal that you need to take your daytime look to the nighttime, but I think I've only done that like maybe 4 or 5 times in my whole life, maybe when I was younger in my 20s, but I definitely don't don't do that very much these days. If I'm going to go from day to night, I usually just freshen up the makeup that I'm already wearing, and I don't really dramatically change my look. I am gonna go ahead and go in with an eyeliner, and it's one of the Charlotte Tilbury dual eyeliners. It has a flesh tone on one end, and then it has sort of like a charcoaly shade on the other, which is really nice for those of us who have very fair skin and very fair features as well. It looks a little less harsh than wearing black. And I'm just going to tightline my upper waterline with this. And I feel like this has pretty good staying power. I don't feel like I need to touch it up during the day. And I just line definitely like on the inside here, not too close to the inner corner, just to add a little more pigment there, because again, if you're really fair and your mascara is on and you don't have anything there, the color of your skin really stands out in contrast. And then I'm just gonna do a little flick here on the outer corner and maybe smudge a bit of it at the upper lash line. And what I really like about these is they aren't overly waxy, so they're very easy to smudge out. I feel like as I apply it, I get a nice smudgy line. And if it's not as smudgy as I want it to be, I can just easily go over it with a little brush and smudge it out. And it gives you that really soft smudged eyeliner look as opposed to that stark straight line. And then I'm gonna take the flesh toned end and apply that to my lower waterline. And this just kind of brightens up your whole eye. So I really like it for that. And I'll link this product in the description box. I'm just gonna use a little Hourglass Unlocked mascara. This is a tubing mascara that Hourglass makes, and it's one of the best tubing mascaras in my opinion. I like that it's got this easy to use brush. It's not overly large, and it's really easy to get in there and coat all my lashes. And it builds up nicely upon itself, and it is like a tubing mascara, so it never flakes and it never smears. It removes with like warm water and just a little bit of makeup, like a little bit of soap that you would use for your face. And yeah, it's really easy to remove, but it won't remove during the day when you don't want it to. So I love it for that. And I think it's just a really pretty mascara. I'm just gonna get a little on the lower lashes as well. And that's just one coat, and you can see what a difference, how much more complete the look looks with that eyeliner and the mascara. I'm gonna do the other eye and I'll be right back. Okay, I have my other eye finished, and something that I should have done before I put on the lower lash mascara, but I did go ahead and do after I applied it, is take a little bit of the Oyster Pearl on like a flat brush like this. That's really easy to do fine detail work. I just smudged it beneath my lower lash line just for a more cohesive and complete look. And I don't feel that I need to go in with any other shades or even use like a champagne shade for the inner corner. You can do that and it would be really pretty just for some extra like dimension with the darker shade in contrast to the lighter. But I think that these are amazing for a one and done, really fast, quick, easy out the door eyeshadow look. Just following those tips, use a grippy primer and make sure you get one that's great for your skin tone, and you will really enjoy this product. Okay, the next product is something that I received as a birthday gift for my daughters. My birthday is on December 12th, a little bit before Christmas, so my daughters went in on a gift for me, and my daughter heard me talking about these palettes from Hourglass. They were released after Halloween time, I believe, and there's 3 of them, but I believe you can customize them. If you go onto the Hourglass website, you can choose a palette and I believe customize. There's some choices to customize it, but this one is the Butterfly palette, and the artwork on them is from an artist called Katie Scott. I'm not familiar with her, but this is her artwork on this palette. And then there's also a tiger palette, and it has tigers on it. And then I think there's one with like mammoths or elephants, and that one's really pretty too. I saw these on the Trend Mood website when they were being released, and that's how my daughter heard me talking about them, and we were looking at them, and I thought this one was the prettiest for my particular coloring. The tiger one has some bronzier shades in it, which is really beautiful if you'd like a bronzer in your palette. I've actually heard people review this palette, and love it, absolutely love it. And then I've heard people say, why bother? It doesn't even have a bronzer, and they felt that some of the shades were too similar, and I'll show that to you. But I don't think that, so that's why I chose this palette. And then the Mammoth palette, I think, or the Elephant one, looked like it could work for me, but I selected this one rather than that one. And it's a nice tin container with a nice mirror, really pretty packaging, and the artwork on it is really pretty. And this is what the palette looks like that I selected. And like I said, there's no bronzer in this palette. And so what you have in this palette are 3 mainstay shades from Hourglass. You have the Ethereal Light, which is a finishing powder. You have the Diffused Light, which is also a finishing powder. And then you have Incandescent Light, which is a strobe highlighter. And these are mainstays in the Hourglass collection. And then you have 3 new shades, and this one is a blush, and it's called Sunset Glow, and it's new to the Hourglass collection, and it may be limited edition, I'm not sure yet. Then you have another strobe highlighter called Celestial, and it's, like I said, a strobe highlighter. And then you have another blush right here, which is called Soft Flush Blush, and this one is more pinky coral, and this one's a little more pinky red. So although they are similar, I don't think, for me personally, that they're so similar that I wouldn't use them both. And I think the blush colors in this palette are incredibly flattering on my skin tone. And this new highlighter, the strobe right here, Celestial, looks amazing in all the promos. So all the advertising and promos that I've seen, it is so beautiful that that's probably the one that made me want this particular palette. If you do use these setting powders as your highlighter, like many people do, they're not translucent. So they do highlight, but they also kind of change your blush a little bit because they're not translucent. They're a little more opaque, but they do add that reflective glow, whereas the strobe highlighters are translucent and they give you that incandescent sort of strobe glow, or that dewy glow that, I don't know, is so beautiful. It makes it look like the powders make it look like you're sitting in candlelight, and they're really, really beautiful. But the strobe highlighters, just, they're so beautiful. I don't know if anybody does it better than Hourglass. So let me show you how I use this palette. So I do use the Ethereal Light powder to set and kind of highlight this area, the triangle of light that I shared with you in my contour and highlight video for fair skin. Whenever I watch YouTube videos in the past of women showing makeup for fair skin, Ethereal Light seems to be the diffusing powder that they always use, and I've always wanted it and I've never had it. So I'm really happy to have this now in my collection, and it's not disappointing at all. I think I'm gonna go right in with the Sunset Glow, the reddish pink. I think it's so beautiful. My daughters did also get me this dual-ended brush, which you don't need, but it is very luxurious and beautiful. So I'm really happy to have it. It's just perfectly in this palette. And I'm just gonna kind of pounce it around. And I probably should have tapped it off because that is a lot of blush. I didn't redip my brush on this side, so this is the way I would normally wear it. And now I'm gonna pick up the second blush right here, the one that's a little more pinky coral. And I'm just gonna sort of dab it around the edges. And I like to take it up here a little bit in my temple too. I feel like it's just really flattering on my fair skin when I do that. And maybe a little tiny bit here and across the bridge of my nose. It helps make my skin look like it's a little bit sun-kissed or flushed in the way that I would normally flush. And now I'm gonna go in with a Celestial highlighter and just lightly pick some up because this is like no joke. It's so dewy, and just let me show you that, like I said, the promos and advertisements for this just made me really want this because I thought it was so beautiful and flattering on the models. Can you guys see that? It just has that beautiful kind of champagne strobe. And it is translucent, so it's not really going to change the look of your blush at all. It's just gonna add that kind of dewy finish over it. A little here on my nose, a little here. And then if you want to, you could take the two diffused light powders, and I just like to pick them up on a brush and then just gently powder over everything and set my makeup. And this will kind of lighten up my blush a little because, like I said, they are opaque and they just add that really candlelit glow that's so beautiful. It's like you're sitting in candlelight, and it's just so flattering. And sticking with the glowy iridescent theme, I went ahead and I used some NARS Sexual Healing. This is one of my favorite lipsticks. It's not new to me, but it's one that I absolutely love, and I've purchased it over and over again. And I'm gonna bring you in close. And I hope you enjoyed seeing a few new products that I've been wanting to share with you. They're too new to make it into my annual favorites or products that wowed me that will be coming up soon. But I definitely didn't want these to, like these, if they're limited edition, I didn't want them to go away so you couldn't get them if you wanted them. And honestly, this brush is definitely a luxury, but oh my gosh, it's so nice to have. So I am pretty new to Hourglass, and so far I've been loving so many Hourglass products. I love their mascara. I love their little scattered light pots. I love their powders. I could go on and on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please don't forget to hit like on your way out. Leave me any questions or comments below. Even just say hello. I love interacting with you. And I hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. I'll see you next time.